Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Thread. It feels like Tuesday, but it's Thursday, and tomorrow's Friday, and then it's Shabbos, but we're still coming at you with a new episode. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Abba, so I got some hate mail.
All right, yeah, before you get to the hate, all right, tell me about your hate mail. What's the nature of the hate mail?
Okay, so I'm going to read an email I got, and this is, I'm not going to read the person's name because I feel like it would be maybe Lashon Hara.
Well, they signed
Nachi.
their real name, you think?
Yeah, I think it would be their real name. It's also in their email. Props to them. I could also say which company they're from, but I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I'm not a bad guy. Props to them, for signing off the real name and not trying to do it anonymous, Nachi, I love your podcasts. I listen to both the Daily Thread and Meaningful People regularly. I'm not the kind of person that writes in, but I have to say that today's Daily Thread was cringe-worthy. What kind of man does not know how to change a tire? Chewing gum? Really? Mm-hmm. It was a really pathetic story that I personally would have kept to myself. For heaven's sake, learn how to change a tire and to do basic things to yourself.
Yeah.
And then he signed his name. Well, I answered him in the email, but I just want to answer you. I want to answer you here. First of all, thank you for the kind email. I really appreciate it. Second of all, the car didn't come with a spare tire. Chewing gum was my attempt at sort of to try to stop the air from coming out. And to be honest, and if I don't know how to change a tire, I don't think that's pathetic.
Well,
some people don't know how to do so.
Do you know how to do it?
But do you know how to change?
Do you know how to do an oil change?
Do
you know how to do an oil change or a tune-up? I'm sure you know how to do that.
No, but I'm sure Adam does. I'm sure this guy does.
Is that his name? The thing is, I was thinking to myself that chewing gum was a little ridiculous. You should.
Why is that ridiculous? What would you do?
You should have stopped for a slice of pizza. The cheese is is thicker, and I think would have held the tire for at least another 3 or 4 miles. So I don't think
it really depends. Depends where the cheese would be from, but I hear that. If I had cheese, I would do it.
But you should have got a ziti slice. If you could have found a pizza store that's open, get a ziti slice. You take some of the ziti off, and you get it inside the tire. You put the gum in with your thumb? How'd you do that?
I got 2 pieces of chewing gum. I chewed them adequately, and I placed it on top. I placed it on top of the hole where the air is coming out. I think tried to just.
I think you would have got another mile or 2 if you wouldn't have chewed the gum. If you would have put the gum in just fresh without being chewed. I think you took some of the.
I don't know.
I think you took some of the potential strength out of the gum by chewing it. First of all, you chewed all the sweetness out of the gum, right? So it had no taste anymore.
I think the person who sent this email in is, again, cringing at this conversation even. But I just want to say, have some benefit of the doubt. Don't hate your guy over here. I was trying my best. What would you do? What would you do? You would take off the tire. It was Purim. Nobody was coming out. Even a police officer, like I said, pulled over. He was no help. What would you do?
If you're driving a car without a spare, number one, you should join AAA. It's very inexpensive. But being that it was Purim, you probably should have called AA. You know what AA is?
Alcoholics Anonymous?
Yeah, you should have called Alcoholics Anonymous. You have most of the guys from Chaim.
Did you plan that joke?
No, I just thought about it. Like most of everything else we discussed, I just thought about it now.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so getting to our first story of the day, I guess we'll start off more jokingly. We are still in Adar. So this story is via the Daily Wire, and it's titled "The Cocaine Cat." Cincinnati Zoo takes an African serval. What a serval is a cat? You know what a serval? A serval?
No, not familiar. Not familiar with
Cincinnati Zoo takes an African cat found with cocaine in its system after the owner was arrested. Okay, so the Cincinnati Zoo announced that Tuesday they were taking care of an African cat named Amiri. The cat was involved in a traffic stop late in January. It escaped its owner's car when police arrested him and ran up a tree, breaking its legs in the process. Animal welfare experts said the cat tested positive for cocaine. The cat has been receiving veterinary care in our animal health center since he was brought here. I'm curious how'd they know the cat's name?
So what attracted you to that story? What interested you in that story, by the way?
I don't know.
A cat.
I think it's pretty interesting.
Cat on cocaine.
Speaking of cocaine, by the way, Daryl Strawberry. Remember Daryl Strawberry?
Sure. He must be about, 50-something years old today? 55?
So Daryl Strawberry, who he wasn't he a drug addict?
He may have had a drug problem, but that's not so unusual. I think he got over it.
So he is now a evangelical preacher, focused on
very cool.
He's focused on promoting Israel. So that's just while we're on the topic, that's a conversation I thought I'd bring up. But do you know what, Abba? I just got an alert from Balaz News that there was a car ramming attack near Beit Enun, not far from Hebron. According to initial reports, one IDF soldier was lightly injured. Updates to follow. So this is as we're recording the Daily Thread today, this is a fluid story. Not sure what is going to happen from this, but this is just a new report that I see that popped on my phone as we're recording this.
Well, Israel is really in turmoil right now. The left is protesting like crazy. They're blocking Ben Gurion Airport today with hundreds of cars, not allowing people to arrive at the airport. One of our neighbors is in Israel. It's supposed to go to the airport tonight. It's supposed to be home tomorrow morning. I don't know how they're going to be delayed. I was in touch with him this morning, and there's traffic for miles and miles from Jerusalem heading into Ben Gurion Airport.
So what exactly are they protesting?
Okay, I know when I say the words they want to change the judiciary process, you roll your eyes and say, we're going to discuss that again, Israeli politics. But it's not about that. Yes, on the surface, it's about the judiciary process. And if you want to have details about it, you can read the Five Towns Jewish Times this morning, an article that I wrote, which starts on the front page, which is called Justice and Peace. But you know what it's really about? It's about the fact that there's 30 members of Knesset that are religiously observant, and the fear on the left that they have a majority in the Knesset when you take into consideration the conservative parties like Likud and the United Torah Judaism and Shas and religious Zionists and so on and so forth, that they could genuinely move the country in a direction of greater observance of Shabbos, of Kashrus. And you know what the biggest, most sensitive point is? Whether the yeshiva students are going to be drafted into the IDF, into the Israeli military. Because, during the campaign, and I point this out in the article, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, because I know that you don't like me talking about this too much or too long. But during the campaign, before the election, before November, Moshe Gafni of United Torah Judaism made the following statement. He said that students, yeshiva boys sitting and learning, protect the state of Israel just as much as the military does. So, you either believe that or you don't believe that. And this is what the left is fighting. They're fighting the status of Torah in Eretz Yisrael. So when you hear someone like me talk about the judiciary and the process and the appointment of Supreme Court justices, and you start yawning, you're not paying attention, because the real problem is the frum people, the Torah observance in the Eretz Yisrael, or the lack of.
Yeah. Well, it obviously is an important story, and now for our listeners and myself to have the clarity that what these protesters are protesting is the government becoming more religious and doing things for the religious Jews. Stricter
observance of Shabbos. When Bennett was prime minister and Lapid after him, they were just a couple of governmental votes away from allowing buses to run on Shabbos in Yerushalayim, which has never been done in Eretz Yisrael. They were loosening kashrus laws, making it, giving hechsherim to stores that open on Shabbos. And everyone that observes kosher, that knows anything about kashrus, knows that it's contingent upon the observance of Shabbos.
But isn't Naftali Bennett a frum Yid?
I can't pass judgment on that. There's a guy named Avram Borg who also wears a yarmulke, scotch tape to his head, and he has some of the most controversial backward type of positions. You know what? When Bezalel Smotrich, by the way, who will be in New York next week, we should really get him on Meaningful People if he speaks English. I have to find out about that. But he'll be in New York next week for a few days. If he if Avram Burg, who said when someone said when Smorge said that the Hurara should be wiped out, you know what Avram Burg said, and Smorge was widely condemned when he said that. Innocent people shouldn't be killed. No one should call for the killing of innocent people. We're all against that, whether it's Arabs or Jews. But you know what Avram Burg said? Nobody said a word. Avram Burg said that Ha-Bracha, where the boys who were killed, where the Yaniv boys live, Ha-Bracha should be wiped out. That's what he said. No one protested.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, we also would be remiss if we didn't report about the sudden Petira of Chaim Elephant, the son of Yankee and Lisa Elephant, the nephew of Rabbi Zechariah Wallerstein Zatzal. Chaim was a father of 4. He was traveling from L.A. to Fort Lauderdale with 2 of his business partners when he suffered a massive heart attack aboard a plane. The plane made an emergency landing in New Orleans, and unfortunately, he was pronounced dead at the hospital.
He was 32 years old, I think, 32, 33.
32 or 33.
Very odd, very unusual.
Yeah, it's a terrible situation, one that unfortunately our family knows too well what it looks like for to leave behind 4 kids and a young wife, and now that the family is grappling with this tragedy. The LA community is reeling from this tragedy. His Levaya today is at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m.
Well, you should point out for new people listening to this, what you're referring to is the untimely passing of our son-in-law and your brother-in-law, Moshe Hirsch. His yahrzeit is going to be this coming Monday, the 20th of Adar. And he passed away, I believe he was just a couple of...
40.
Was he 40? He just was 40, just turned 40. And, we got 5 beautiful kids that... Malky, my daughter, and our daughter, and your sister, just unbelievable courage. And I was just thinking to myself last night that when I saw the news about Chaim Elephant, I was thinking about his widow and the 4 little kids who I saw a picture of online. I thought to myself, oh, Malky has a job to do, because very often over the last 4 years, she was the first call that was made in situations like this to give a little hope. She's a young lady with 4 little kids. She needs to mourn appropriately and protect her children and regain her strength, and at the right time look ahead to the future. I think I explained it here a few weeks ago. My phone rang in the house. Did I tell you that story about my phone rang in the house? And I never answered a wall phone because only telemarketers call on the wall phone. But I picked it up. I picked it up on a whim, and the guy asked for your sister, for Malky. And I said, she doesn't live here. She hasn't lived here for, I don't know, 15, 16 years already. I don't know, 16, 17 years maybe. And he said he had to talk to her because his son passed away a month earlier, and his daughter-in-law with 3 kids here in Queens is having a very difficult time, and she needs to speak to Malky and Malky Hirsch. So, it's a very difficult time, a situation like this. I was reading last night. I don't know how it popped up, but 1 in every 600 flights has a medical emergency, and of those medical emergencies, only 0.3% results in someone's death. So it's extremely, extremely unusual.
Yeah, and it's tragic, and of course, if this family is going to mourn now, and they should feel free to reach out to Malky. They can reach out to us even, and we can put them in touch if they would like that.
At the right time,
there is money. Yeah, there is money being raised now for this young family, 4 kids and a wife. $807,000 has so far been raised from 2,473 people. Their goal is $3 million, and I think they're gonna reach that goal to make sure that this wife, this widow, and the kids, they are well taken care of for a bit. Again, in a situation like this, finances should be the least of the stresses and the concern.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all too often, it is a major concern and a stress.
Yeah, internally, it should be the last thing that they have to be concerned about. That's why they jumped so fast to raise the money. But it's also a lesson for young people like that. You can get life insurance for millions of dollars for such a small amount of money. But you know what? At the flip side of that, a 32-year-old man or woman has a right not to believe they're going to pass away imminently. You know,
That's true.
So that's
first of all,
that's a
we
struggle.
don't know, and we're not gonna speculate whether life insurance, no life insurance, but we'll take the opportunity for sure to say that people should get life insurance,
especially at that age, Nachi. You probably, I don't know, you can pay
Well, I think anytime,
$50 or $100 a month.
I think anytime someone gets married, right, or at least when you have your first child, life insurance is something you should have, and it's such a thing where it's like, it's almost uncomfortable because, like, what am I spending money on? If someone chas v'shalom passes away, so their family's taken care of, it's a little bit. It's like buying a caver. It's like buying that. It's a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's the most responsible thing to do.
The premium for anyone from 25 to 35 with good health, the premium is probably less. The monthly premium is less than it costs you to go out to dinner, in any good restaurant.
It's true.
All right, you want to change to another subject that I have on my thing here that I've been carrying around for a week? Were you ever?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Were you ever hit when you were in school in yeshiva?
Oh, no,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think I would have heard when I was going to yeshiva, which was I think maybe 40 years earlier than you. It was very widespread to knock kids around. Anyway, I'm not going to lay down on the couch now and start talking about that. I never got hit. I was a very good kid in yeshiva.
You never got hit?
Not in yeshiva. Not by any strangers, I can tell you that. I was a very good kid.
Okay.
But you know what? I was just thinking about that I'm going to talk about this
One
today.
second, you should know I did see kids get hit when I was in yeshiva. I remember vividly in second grade. There was a Rebbe who's no longer alive. I'm definitely not going to say his name. He's no longer alive, but he was my Rebbe in second grade, and he did hit. He did hit a kid pretty badly.
In second grade, you're 7 years old in second grade, no?
I know. Yeah.
Well, you know what?
But,
I was in
I
was in fourth grade, and I was thinking about it this morning. I was in fourth grade, which means I have a grandson in fourth grade, and he's I think he's 9. Maybe he's gonna be 9. No, he's probably 9. So I was in fourth grade. A guy in front of me. I'm not going to say what the circumstances were, but we had to have our books covered, and if you didn't get your book covered, you would defy the orders from the administration in the school. And this guy in front of me didn't have his books covered, his English books covered, and the principal came in, and he saw the guy has an uncovered book. The guy took his belt off and started whipping him, and this guy was sitting right in front of me. That happened 60 years ago, and I still remember it like I'm seeing it in front of me now. Anyway, I don't want to get bogged down in that. I want to tell you that the New York State Legislature wants to pass a bill against.
You got a newspaper clipping over there.
Yeah,
huh?
This is from last weekend's New York Times. I buy the New York Times only on Friday, so I can look at it over Shabbos. Otherwise, I don't bother with the New York Times. But the New York State Legislature is considering 4 bills. The proposal defines corporal punishment as any act of physical force upon a pupil, however light, for the purpose of punishing such pupil or modifying undesirable behavior. It states that no teacher or school employee may use corporal punishment. The bill is now pending in the Senate Children and Families Committee. Another proposal from the Assemblyman David Madonna, a Republican from Long Island, defines corporal punishment to include the use of timeout room, which means you're not allowed to keep kids after school. No detention.
Really?
No staying after school. It's a form of corporal punishment, which is a form of abuse. Anyway, those bills.
One second. So they're trying to make hitting in schools illegal, is what you're saying?
Let me read the first paragraph so don't take this out of context. New York State lawmakers have introduced several bills that would ban corporal punishment in private schools after the New York Times reported that students in some Hasidic Jewish children's religious schools have been regularly hit, slapped, or kicked by their instructors. So the Jews are the target. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Is that misinformation? Meaning, are Jews more likely to be hit in schools than public schools?
I have no idea. I think if there's that kind of thing taking place today in this day and age, I think it's so minuscule.
I'll tell you what. I feel I have walked through the halls of public schools. I didn't go to public school, thank God, but I walked in there, during school hours, and I sure feel a lot safer in my yeshiva than I did walking through the public school.
Oh,
having to go through.
That's because you might have been afraid of the students, not the teachers. Right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
anyway,
I don't know.
The point is that it is targeting yeshiva specifically, and that's why it's getting the attention that it's getting, because the New York Times loves to have an opportunity to take a shot at yeshivas for very much the same reason. I don't want to confuse anybody. For very much the same agenda that the left in Israel has, and why they're protesting today and blocking access to the airport. They're afraid of the right or the Torah world being able to demonstrate their effectiveness and success, so they fight it. Doesn't mean you should tolerate kids being hit. Kids shouldn't be hit anywhere.
I think the hitting thing is and if I'm wrong, people can reach out and say I'm wrong, but I think it's a thing of the past. Maybe in minority of places in the Jewish world it still happens, but I think it's a thing of the past. I don't think
nothing ever could be whatever it is, whether it's drinking or drugs or whatever it is. Nothing is going to be eliminated 100%. You're always going to have exceptions to the rule, and I'm sure even the very, very right-wing yeshivas, I'm sure they have policies against corporal punishment. And I think the Times is trying to indicate that it's more widespread. Maybe they got some complaints about it, but chances are whoever's complaining about it has an alternative agenda also at the same time.
Could be. What else you got?
What else do I got? Let me see. What else I got? You want to talk about this week's Parsha, Kisisa? It's
well, it is the last episode of the week, so this would be the time, I guess, to do that.
They're all great parshas, but this one has particularly outstanding conversation between Moshe Rabbeinu and Hashem, and it's after the Chet of the Egel, after Moshe Rabbeinu breaks the luchos coming down from Har Sinai, and he breaks the luchos. By the way, the first luchos were manufactured with all kinds of very valuable sapphires, and I think Rashi says gems and sapphires, and Hashem allowed Moshe Rabbeinu to keep the little pieces of the jewelry that was the luchos was manufactured out of, and Rashi says that's how Moshe became very wealthy. Hashem allowed him to keep it. In case you were wondering what he did for a living, I don't think he was on the payroll.
Was Moshe wealthy?
Yeah, apparently he was very wealthy. Apparently he, according to Rashi in this week's Parsha, he was able to keep the jewels that were part of the first luchos that were broken into little pieces. But after Hashem, I don't have a chumash in front of me, but Moshe says to Hashem, "Who are you?"
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Tell me who you are. Show me your glory. Tell me who is God. And this is the conversation where Hashem says, "No man could see my face and live." It's something that a regular human being with a soul inside of a body cannot withstand, cannot absorb. So he offered to Moshe Rabbeinu to put him up on a cleft in the mountain and to cover his Moshe's eyes with his hand, Hashem's hand, so to speak. And he said to Moshe that I'll pass by. You're not going to be able to see me, but after I pass by, you'll be able to see the back of my head. And that was the closest Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest man to ever live, was able to to be able to absorb godliness. And the Gemara says someplace that Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, who was the author of the Mishnah, the codifier of the Mishnah, they asked him once, how did he achieve such greatness? And he said that his Rebbe was Rabbi Meir. He says he once saw the back of Rabbi Meir's head. So you see a glimpse of something that's so powerful that could be something that is a catalyst to stay with you forever in a positive way. So that
listen, you just mentioned before in our story that you remember something from 60 years ago, something that happened negatively, and I think the same holds for something that's positive. That could even be more impactful.
Well, it was a powerful. Of course, hopefully it works more for the positive things than for the negative.
Sure.
But I think the dialogue between Kadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu, it deserves being looked at and read and studied over and over again, because it's just mind-boggling, the relationship between Moshe and Hashem, and how he handled it in such a majestic, almost like in a royal way. It's a fascinating conversation, so to speak, if you can have a conversation with Hashem. But that's in this week's parsha, and it should jump out at you when you see it.
Absolutely. Well, that's our episode for today. Last episode of the week. I'll see you later. I'm coming in. I'll be by you for Shabbos.
Okay.
You didn't know yet?
Yeah, I heard the rumor. You were coming in.
You heard the rumor?
For Shabbos.
I will be in town. I am.
Okay,
and,
good. You're recording some podcasts, I understand.
Yes, I'm recording a podcast tonight for Meaningful People with Bleemy Heller. She is a parenting coach expert. She has 156,000 followers on Instagram. From lady, I think she lives in Lakewood, and people are eating up the things that she's saying, parenting advice and tips and scenarios and examples and stories. So all the parents out there, make sure to subscribe. By the way, something I want to mention, 74% of you that are right now watching the Daily Thread are not subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're watching it every day, and you're not subscribed. So go ahead, just hit the subscribe button.
Oh, let's get that number. I was going to ask you how you do that. I'm not a subscriber, but
Oh wow, thanks, Abba. You can't subscribe to our own YouTube channel.
You have to know your way around doing these things.
There's a big subscribe button.
I was on the phone with somebody from one of the financial institutions because I got a new computer and I didn't have my password, and I was explaining to her that you have to go slow with me because I was born in the 1950s. And she said to me,
right.
You don't sound like you're that old.
Yeah, right? Well, you don't look that old either.
Well, I have Nachi and Nissan to keep me young.
Alrighty, that's our episode for today. We'll see you all again next week here on the Daily Thread. But let's flip those numbers over the weekend from 74% not subscribed to 74% subscribed. And, of course, keep sending in your perm pictures. We're going to go over them over the weekend and announce a winner of our $250 raffle of the most creative perm costume. We hope to see you next week. This is The Daily Thread.
Shabbat Shalom.